Are we getting into it? Should we do the intro?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, guys, welcome into episode 16 of Too Much Intimacy. I'm Jester. She's Phoebe. That's Bubs up there. That's Kai out here. We're your favorite pillow talk couple.
Nice, babe.
Yeah, it's been a pretty emotionally wild week for us.
Yeah, I think we also haven't recorded in a while because we kind of got ahead because we were traveling.
Yeah.
We squeezed, we somehow finagled the pace.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think we're traveling again shortly, so I think
We're leaving again
in like
6 days.
6 days, so I think we gotta at least record one more while we're away. But I mean, before we leave, we could probably do it without.
All right, yeah. Do you want to continue to talk about the schedule?
Yeah, if you guys are interested, we'll send you our calendar invites.
Should we pull out our phones and book it in our calendar?
Yeah. Doop. Doopy little doop.
How are you feeling today?
I'm excited to be back in the saddle.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's I feel like since the last time you guys have seen us, we've gone through a lot. We went on a trip, we got in a big fight, we made up from the big fight. Work has been crazy for me. Your company has gotten some massive press. So like a lot of things have happened, and then we just had our dear friends Roxana and Elena up for dinner and breakfast this morning, which was so nice. I'm going into the city to hang out with my old Kimball Studio friends who I love and miss, and then tomorrow we're gonna go to a Mets game.
Oh
with
yeah,
Sean and Cass.
This was something that I haven't had a chance to ask you yet. So we're going to this game tomorrow. I haven't had any time to really think too hard about preparations. I feel like when I go to games, my favorite thing, although I haven't really been to baseball games, so I don't really know if this is the vibe.
Oh, tell me.
But I feel like when I go to when I've gone to basketball games or football games, they have all these sporting places, they have the camera, the big they can put you on the big screen, right?
And you bring a sign?
I like to bring a sign. I like to have a funny, creative sign because it's arts and crafts mixed with a little bit of poking.
Yeah.
You get a little witty.
I think that's great.
But it's tomorrow. I haven't started thinking about any of this.
I have a suggestion for you.
I also don't even know because you're from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming you're going to be rooting for the Rockies.
You're damn right I'm going to be rooting for the
Rockies.
Rockies.
Okay, we're going, but Sean and Cass have been telling us about all these things about the Mets and I feel like they're deeply, what is the word?
They're deeply committed.
They're deeply committed to all the stories of the players, and I'm I'm kind of a neutral party, but for it to be fun for me, I have to pick a side.
You got to pick the Rockies. Here, let me tell you what let me give you a little bit of history, and I'll tell you what my strategy for tomorrow is.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a little loud. I'm going into the red a lot.
Okay.
My voice is especially resonant or something.
Okay.
So the Colorado Rockies are having the worst season in the history of baseball right now. The Colorado Rockies have always been one of the jokes of baseball. We've been to the playoffs 3 times. So the Rockies came into existence in 1993, so 32 years ago. I think they've been to the playoffs 3, maybe 4 times. They had one miracle run to the World Series where they got swept by the Boston Red Sox. That was an interesting time for me as an ethnically Boston person who grew up in... I'm ethnically Red Sox, but then I grew up in Colorado because my dad and mom are from New England. Anyway, so the Rockies
Is your
are
dad
terrible.
a Red Sox fan?
Yeah, I mean, when they moved to Colorado and made it their home, all of the Colorado teams became the top teams, but all the Boston teams became the second team.
Okay.
And I carried that for a while. It was really fun to be a Red Sox fan. At the end of the Curse of the Bambino, I mean, I wouldn't say fun, it was torturous until the Bambino curse was broke. Do you know what the Curse of the Bambino is?
I think I vaguely have heard of it before.
So I'll try not to give too deep of a history lesson, but Babe Ruth, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time. He was playing for the Boston Red Sox. He was a pitcher at the time, actually. He was a pretty good pitcher at the time. And he was in but the owner of the Red Sox was a New York businessman who was trying to fund his girlfriend or wife's or mistress's like Broadway production. This is in
The owner of the Red Sox was in New York?
yeah, it was
Is that a normal thing?
especially now. I mean, it's just rich people. You don't have to live in the city you're from. But I mean, I think the guy was, I don't remember his name, but I think he was a Boston person, but like a lot of his business was in New York. And his
Okay.
wife was an actress.
Okay.
And so she was trying to be on Broadway. Um, and oh man, I wish I remember the details of the story because it's a really good one. But basically, he needed to finance either the production or the theater. I think it was the production. I know it was the Longacre Theater, which is on 48th Street, right next to my office.
Mhm.
Um, and so he needed money. So he basically traded Babe Ruth for money to produce his wife's or girlfriend's
Oh
like
wow, I didn't know
ill-fated
that.
play, which I think ended up being terrible.
Okay.
When Babe Ruth got traded, he said the Boston Red Sox will. I forget. There's like some famous quote I think, but I think he said the Boston Red Sox will never win another World Series.
Wait, who said that?
Babe Ruth. He was so pissed off at being traded.
Oh, he cursed them.
So he cursed them. So it was called the Curse of the Bambino. That
Okay.
curse lasted 86 years.
That's a
And
long time.
yeah, it was broken in 2004 when I was a freshman in college. And it was the first year, my dad and I would watch all the Red Sox baseball games together. During the playoffs, we would watch all the games. That's too much baseball. But we would watch all the Red Sox playoff games together. So that was, and the Rockies were pretty bad at the time. So the Rockies were my first team. The Red Sox were my very close second team. And then I went off to college, and it was like my first few months at college, and it really kept my dad and I connected, texting back and forth about the game. I went into the,
About which games?
the Red Sox games,
Oh, okay.
the Red Sox playoff games, because it
Okay.
started right at the beginning of the school year. And the Red Sox played the Yankees in an iconic, I think it was the ALDS, or ALCS, basically the semifinal of the whole league.
Mhm.
And the Yankees were up 3-0 in a 7-game series, and they were, I forget what the exact score was, but like bottom of the ninth, like Red Sox are one out away from being eliminated, humiliated,
Mhm.
and a Big Poppy Ortiz, what's his first name? Can't remember his first name right now. Big Poppy smacks a huge home run out of the field, rallies the Red Sox to a win. The Red Sox win the next 4 games and take the Yankees out. That had never been done in the history of baseball before. In fact, it was like the third time it had been done in the history of North American sports.
Damn.
It happened like twice in hockey, and then, yeah. So major historic run. Then they go on to win the World Series the next year, not the next, couple of weeks, the next series, and. I was a freshman at the time, and I was like wearing my Red Sox jersey around camp. And I went to school in California, so it was weird for there to be there's like one Red Sox fan and one Yankees fan, and we shit talked in the, in the lounge, while we watched the games. It was really fun. But since then, the Red Sox have been very successful. They've basically become the Yankees. They've become the evil empire. So I've like
Huh.
distanced myself, yeah, because they got all that money. They're a historic team. Just like the Yankees, they're not worth as much as the Yankees, but they're probably the third most valuable franchise in the league. And so they just started buying players and acting like an empire. And me, the scrappy Rockies fan, that they've never had, a good team at all.
Now
I was
you've
like,
got to start
we
rooting
gotta,
for them.
yeah. Now I'm just getting back to my roots. But like, I don't like it when teams become the evil empire, and that's why I think I'll fit in with Mets Nation. Because they've always been the scrappy underdog in the.
You're going to be rooting against them tomorrow, though.
Yeah, but rooting for the Rockies is just kind of a joke at this point. They're so bad.
Can you give me like a little bit of context so I can go in kind of like primed mentally and emotionally to understand like what I'm getting myself into if I'm going to be rooting for the Rockies tomorrow?
You're gonna lose. So you're gonna be on the losing side.
Okay.
The reason I can do this is because I can go in with some self-deprecation. I'm not gonna be obnoxious. I'm just going to be a loud Rockies fan that knows how pathetic the Rockies are.
Yeah. So why do you think So can you just give me like a brief summary again, like why they're so bad and like what's the deal?
Why the Rockies are
What do
so
you think
bad?
what do you think is the psychology of the players right now?
Ooh.
Because, they're probably making still pretty big bucks, like, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. They're making big bucks, so it's like, hey, this
They're
is
making big bucks, but
a
making big
great
bucks
job.
to lose.
Making
Why
big.
are they so bad?
I think they're so bad because the organization has a losing culture and always has because there have been very little winning in the Rockies' history, and the owner specifically is not interested in winning. He's interested like the Rockies have a
And
beautiful.
he's like public about this.
I mean, he doesn't say it, but he's more interested. Like he's a big developer in downtown Denver, so he's more interested in just like putting like making money off of the downtown Denver scene. So he just
Okay.
and he's done an amazing job. Like to be completely honest, like downtown Denver is beautiful, and Coors Field is one of the best baseball stadiums in baseball. Um, but the Rockies have always sucked. So I think to be a player, I think it's got to be hard. But I think you're also like probably feels like an extension of the minor leagues. It's just like all right, well, this is my audition to like maybe if I have a good season here, I can go on to another team and win, and I can go on and make more
Mm,
money at another stop, and like,
interesting.
or maybe
Interesting.
it's like they're at the end of their career and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna be a good veteran to some of these young guys. I'm gonna eke out a few more $1 million while I can, and maybe make myself a fan favorite like Charlie Blackmon did. So yeah,
So there's some fan favorites.
yeah. I don't know who they are this year though.
You might want to brush up before we go.
I don't think there are any. I think they're so bad. So Charlie Blackmon was like this scraggly, bearded outfielder, just totally fit in with the Colorado vibe, and he was always pretty good. He was always all-star level, but he retired a year or two ago, and now nobody's any good.
So what do you think the fans are like? Are there going to be any Rockies fans there? Or do they not have a fan base?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of traveling Rockies fans there. I think if you go to Coors Field, there's a fan base, but I
Do you
don't.
think they will appreciate us? Like, what? Tell me why I should care about rooting for the Rockies tomorrow.
Because I am your husband, and you must do as I say.
That's not
No.
true, babe.
You can root for whoever you want, but if you did want to be a Rockies fan, you would need to go into it. I think so. I think this is what I hope.
Just sell me on it.
I'm trying.
Okay.
This is what I hope. I hope that because the Mets are like a historically underdog team, just like the Rockies are, but the Mets are on they're on their magic run right now.
Yeah.
I hope there's some appreciation from Mets fans who I know Mets fans are loyal. They've been through the thick and the thin. I just want them to appreciate that I am a Rockies fan. I want to be accepted by Mets Nation, basically. I want to be a Rockies fan that's in good with the Mets fan so that when the playoffs come around, I can root for the Mets and they'll accept me. So that's what because that's my game plan.
Okay. So your pitch to me is that I should go and root for the Rockies because maybe if I root for the Rockies, the Mets will accept me
Hmm.
as a Rockies fan.
Yeah, and it'll make perfect sense.
All right.
You guys know what I'm talking
You gotta
about,
work
right?
on your pitch, babe, but all right. Good enough.
It was not a
What are the
95
colors
mile
that I
an hour.
have to wear? Is it purple and gray?
Purple, black, gray, white. I love purple. That's part of the reason I can't give up the Rockies. I love the color
Purple,
purple.
gray, black, white. Okay.
Yeah.
I just my wardrobe color palette is limited, so
Do you have orange? Because you could go orange and blue and just be a Mets fan.
I don't think I will feel right if you're the only Rockies person.
I'm prepared for that eventuality.
I don't want to do it. I wouldn't like that dynamic. I
Okay.
would go with your team, whatever team you're going with.
Oh, you're so sweet, kid.
What do you think we should put on the sign if I make a sign? What do you think is going to make them feel good? Anything?
Make the Rockies feel good?
Yeah. What should I put on my sign?
Well, if we're talking about this practically, we're sitting on the upper deck, and nobody outside of our section is going to see our sign.
What if they put us on the big screen? What if our sign
The
is really
cameras
good?
don't go up that high.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
The camera is like this. We're like on the 5th level. I'm sorry, we didn't spring for expensive tickets,
That's fine. How much were the tickets?
like $38 each.
Oh, they're cheap tickets.
Yeah, they're cheap tickets.
All right.
We could have gone more, but it's been a little financially tight. both for us and for the business. So, and this baseball game will be brought to you by CityKeys.live. Download that in your next ticket app. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to do a pitch for my company right now. I don't really care.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to be way up there, and the cameras are only on the first couple levels.
All right, all right. Do you think we can sneak down lower if it's not filled?
I do think it's possible. So I think you should bring sign making material and make it at the game. Make it like a fun interactive thing.
Okay. All right, I'll figure it out.
A fun art project with Cass.
All right, I'll figure it out.
And Cass's mom, whose name I just forgot.
Marie.
I was going to say Maria, but I knew that wasn't right. Okay, I think I've been talking enough, so I'm going to pass the microphone over to you while I take a drink of water.
Well, it feels pretty cozy in our little nest. I feel like I started this episode off as a queen. I had both cats. Coyote was in my lap and Bubs was right next to me. He was so happy.
Mm-hmm. You are a queen, my little kitten.
Yeah?
Yeah. Weren't we talking about this is like a really wild week?
Yeah.
And then I just did 20 minutes on the Colorado Rockies.
Do you want to talk about why it was wild for you?
Sure. I mean, we got in a fight, and then, I feel like sometimes when you go through really tough times, it can really like give clarity to you. I feel like I really gained clarity through this conflict, and I feel very strong in myself, and work has been really crazy. I don't even want to get into why work has been crazy, but it's been a pretty wild week. So I feel like I've been being tested, but I'm just like, am I being tested? I feel like I'm living my best life. Like I'm writing a lot. I'm energetically motivated. I'm having fun at work, even though it's hard,
That's awesome, babe.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you? What's your week been like?
Yeah, it was rough the early half of the week because we got into a huge fight over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got sick,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like so pissed about because I feel like we already got sick this year.
I've been sick all winter, yeah.
There's been years where I didn't get sick at all or where I got sick one time. So for me to get sick 2 times in the first half of the year, I'm like fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off. Anyway, but I guess it just has really forced me to like slow down and like prioritize myself because I had a lot of like really fun things planned for this week that I had to cancel because I was just sick and I didn't want to push my, I already had like a pretty taxing like 4 or 5 days when we went to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're staying, like we had a great time, but like we're off our schedule. We're staying in someone else's house. They have a 2.5-year-old who wakes up at 5 in the morning and like
slams doors.
They do a pretty good job of like keeping him contained until like it's a appropriate hour for like us to wake up. But like, still, it's just
he's a 2.5-year-old. He can't be entirely contained.
He just, yeah. He has a big presence. Those little ones, they have a big presence when they are not having a good day.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, it becomes everybody's business.
It becomes everybody's day.
I imagine that's the big challenge of parenting, is just being like, all right, kid's having a bad day, that doesn't mean I'm going to,
Yeah, I have no idea. I think that sometimes you do have a bad day. I don't know how you can like control it because I think you feel like emotionally connected to your child. Like I think in a way where you're not as annoyed. You're not as annoyed when they're like just being annoying. But like I think when they're really upset about something, I do think it upsets you because you feel bad for them. I mean, it's like with the cats, like when Coyote's having like really bad asthma.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like it's hard to just like ignore it, like she's having attacks and like I feel worried about her. So
yeah, it's true.
It's hard. It was a bit of a sensitive time, we were fighting, then I got sick, so we didn't sleep in the same bed for 3 days,
Yeah.
which is
Like maybe 4 actually.
it
It
felt
was a
like a
few
while. It
days.
felt like a while where we
Yeah.
were like kind of in our own spaces,
Yeah.
and that can be good for me to be in our own space, but like it's just a little hard when it took us a few days to like really make up and
Yeah.
like get through it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, even then it's just like hard when you're busy and like you're trying to come back from a fight
Yeah.
and you're just like, it's hard to like really connect.
Yeah. There's not a lot of
So,
time to, be with each other.
yeah, I guess.
I guess that's why we have this podcast, so that
I guess we're connecting now. This
we
feels
can-
a little odd.
you guys can creep on us while we are resolving our fight.
Yeah, it's real stuff.
Yeah.
I have felt like the gravity of life lately.
Yeah.
It was very interesting talking about like hair dyeing, like
Oh, yeah,
aging
that was
stuff
fun.
last night
Mhm.
with Roxana and Elena, because like I don't really talk to my mom about this stuff. Like, or like I can talk about it with her, but she's very just like practically minded, and like I have these like 2 pairs of like these big Russian eyes.
Mhm.
I feel like they just have this like deep pools of like knowing and like emotion of like
Yeah.
the depth of like seriousness of life. And
Yeah.
I felt like when I was talking about it, they were just like, they had this like look on their face like, oh, she's like processing this for the first time, like aging, like,
Yeah.
I mean, not aging is just to even just like simplify it to the word of aging is
Yeah.
like, seems very, it just doesn't capture it.
Yeah.
But I looked into those big Russian
Mhm.
eyes and I was like, it's deeper than that. It's
Yeah.
deeper than just like, feeling invisible, feel like you are going to become invisible to society after being like the prized, like
Yeah.
the prized pig. Sounds terrible to say that, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Being the star of the show.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it's also very interesting. We had a conversation with Roxana and Elena, who are like both they both lived through the fall of the USSR and like are immigrants from Russia to America and like have they've lived a long arduous life, way more than our like very comfortable, relatively privileged life.
Yeah.
And yet you guys basically had the same feelings about graying hair. I kind of like in my like
It's
cliche.
universal.
Yeah, it's universal. In my cliche thing, I would imagine the Russian women be like, hair goes gray. It goes gray some women when they are 15 years old. Just let hair go gray. But no, that was not their opinion. That was not.
Well,
Not
and I say universal, but it's not really not universal, but I think it's dependent on the culture, and I think Russian culture is similar to American culture of like very much like prizing beauty and youth as the ideal standard.
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah, most societies do that. What societies are good at like balancing
respecting their elderly.
Respecting their elderly. The Chinese are good at it.
I feel like Asian cultures
are.
I want to say like other Latin cultures too.
Yeah,
like
that's probably true.
there's just like I feel like when there's a really deep family
Family bond,
connection, it's just different. Like where it's more normal for like multiple generations to be living in one house.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like very normal for like the grandparents to be like a second parent to like the grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is something that I really, I don't know. I hope that you and I and like our parents can enjoy some of like the things that other cultures enjoy, which is like when you get older, like I feel like there's just this different like appreciation, whereas in American culture, I feel like we just get annoyed of old people. We're like, why aren't you just like the
Mm-hmm.
young people?
Oh, you're
Like,
so slow.
you're
Come on,
slow,
move
like,
around.
you're
You can't
slow, like,
drive.
you can't do this. And, like, we just think of all the things that they can't do
Yeah.
instead of, like, the things that, the blessings of, like, the things that they have access to. Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen it with Popo, with my grandmother, of,
Mm-hmm.
like, as, like, her dementia started increasing, I started to see like a new side of her personality because she was just
Mm-hmm.
like part of her was like letting go of
Yeah.
like the control.
You were kind of like seeing her inner child come out in a way, is
I
what it kind of
was.
felt like to me.
Well, and I think she was like this with her friends, like with her
Yeah.
like friends from college who she stayed in touch with, like this very playful side of her, like kind of mischievous
Yeah.
that I didn't see. And I know when I talked to my dad about it, he didn't see this.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see as like a grandchild who had like a very positive relationship with her. She was always more like teaching in the
Yeah.
teacher's role. And then she got into her 80s and she went out to karaoke with me and Marsha. Went to like a karaoke bar when we were all in Hawaii together.
Oh my God. Did she sing?
No, we didn't sing. We like were maybe we were going to. We were feeling it out. It was like kind of like an local like institution, like this cool
Mm.
like bar. I mean, on it's like in Waikiki Beach, so like yeah, maybe there's like some tourists there, but like
Yeah.
locals go. It was like a serious like nice vibe,
Yeah.
and people go and they were real good singers. But it
Yeah.
was like just a chill like kind of bar lounge vibe. And anyway, we went and observed, and we thought about maybe we will sing. And I was like, I don't feel like it's for us to step in. I feel
Did,
like we're just here to enjoy.
did Popo like bring up what songs she might have sung if she was going to do karaoke? I just really want to envision Popo doing karaoke.
No, I don't think she was ever a musical person. I never
Mm.
saw her like listening to music. I don't think she was like a singer, but
Yeah.
um
So do you think like her, the change that comes with dementia, this like, I'm thinking of it as like this reemergence of her inner child. Do you think it's like affected the dynamics of your relationship with your parents or your family's overall dynamics?
I think so subtly, just like the presence of like age, of like knowing that like death is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my parents are there's one of my grandparents left, but my mom, both of her parents are dead, and my dad's dad is dead.
Yeah.
And my dad is retired now. He just retired last year.
Yeah.
And, I think I feel very fortunate that I've seen my dad. He got to like a softer place emotionally, and I think a more in touch place emotionally over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That I see him like just really like appreciating all the blessings that they have as far as
Yeah.
like he can retire. The fact that my parents can retire is like amazing, you
Your
know?
parents won American Cat. Your parents won the American dream. They truly
Is
did.
and yeah, and they have like, they have a good relationship with us and with their family. Like there's not too much drama in our family.
Yeah.
So like, they kind of had a choice of like, okay, what do we want to do with our lives? Like we think we want to travel. They want to go live near their newest grandbaby, which like
Mm-hmm.
I think is going to be great for them to
Yeah.
in their older years have a connection with
Mm-hmm.
the young generation.
Yeah.
I think that's just so good for older people.
Yeah. I think that'll be really great. Yeah, I'm excited for this new phase of your parents' life. I do. I mean, like I've only known them for 6 or 7 years now, but I do feel like I've seen at least your dad like change significantly. And I was kind of wondering if it was like, oh, I wonder if your dad watching Popo, become her inner child again has like changed his perspective, been part of the softening process. Um, you know,
Yeah.
like made him realize like, oh, my mother had a lot more to her than I remember, and like, he's kind of softened towards you because they weren't super soft towards you guys in your childhood, were they?
No, not at all.
Not at all. You were pretty.
It was a very clear line of like parent-child relationship.
Would you see it? Would you describe it as like like the stereotypical or somewhat stereotypical like Chinese parent relationship, like the tiger. I mean, not your well, tiger mom or tiger dad thing.
My dad was very chill.
Yeah.
He was very chill. My mom, even though she's white, she did kind of like take on a role of like a tiger mom. I think
Mm.
because she just saw that we had so many more opportunities than she did.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was raised by two parents who worked, who didn't go to college.
Yeah.
She was the first person in her family to go to college.
Yeah.
And I think she was like, all right, like, my husband's a doctor. She was like, I want to prioritize my kids' education and let them have all the opportunities that I didn't get to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like good in a way that I grew up with this, like, I kind of knew, while my mom, she was very like encouraging of like, oh, you should be a doctor or a lawyer, like you'll make a lot of money and then you don't have to worry about things. So
Mm-hmm.
she did like push that, but I also like from like more earnest conversations with my dad, he would just be like, yeah, we just want you guys to be happy.
Yeah.
They did want us to be self-sufficient, so like they did raise like three very independent daughters who then moved all over the country
Yeah.
and built their own lives. So yeah, I think we did have some of those. We did have some of those like immigrant mentality things, but I don't know that it was necessarily all like from being Chinese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like there was. It seems in a way that you got like really strong influences from both Chinese culture and the expectations, like the immigrant mentality of like, okay, work hard, like these are the rules, like the
Values of like getting good grades in school.
yeah,
Like that
values
was definitely emphasized.
exactly. But then also the like the independence of kind of the white or American or whatever Western, whatever you want to say, like where it's we don't necessarily live it doesn't necessarily like three or four generations in one house. Usually it's not it's not strange for kids to move far away from their parents. Whereas a lot of cultures it is. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's
interesting.
a very like striving culture of
Yeah.
like be the best you that you can be.
We are striving, aren't we? Striving, aren't we? One of our episodes called Striving for Excellence.
I think that one got the least views. I don't know if our viewers.
Oh no.
I don't know.
They're like, we don't give a shit about your
They're like,
excellence.
well, I feel like there's enough of that out in the world, We don't really need to be like perpetuating that. I think people they have it in them or they don't have it in them and whatever.
Yeah, totally.
It's fine.
I'm just gonna have a baby.
Oh, I forgot about that thing. A little Frankenstein.
Yeah, a little Frankenstein.
Frankenpen.
Frankenpen. Wow, that was really fun. We talked about Popo. I love Popo, babe.
I know.
It makes me sad that I don't think I really ever got to know Popo before she got dementia.
I don't think you
I don't think I met her.
I think you met her first at the memory care
Yeah,
facility.
I think I did.
Yeah, she was very influential on me and both my sisters.
Yeah, she's the matriarch of your family,
Totally.
Very influential on your parents, very influential on your aunts and
Even my mom's mom, she told me like how she's like, oh, I always really respected your
wow.
Popo. Like, she was like, yeah, I just went to her house and like everything was so clean. Like she was so independent. Like, because she was divorced for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, she was cooking. I mean, my mom's mom did not like to cook
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Oh. You got a very cool family, babe. I feel very lucky.
I do have a cool family, and it's very interesting. This is another new work development, is that my parents, so they're building a new house in Illinois where my younger sister lives, who has a little baby. And my work is in interior design. So when I heard that they bought a piece of land and they were going to build a house, like, I got very excited. Like, to me, like, building a home is like so I don't know, fundamental to like the life that you live, the experience
Mm-hmm.
of your life that you
Totally.
live, you
Yeah.
know, of your home life. And it's a lot of decisions to make. And so I kind of just assumed that they were going to want some help. And I was kind of nudging my mom,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, well, you know, like, we're doing these like free, like, trial, like, consultations just for friends and family before we roll them out. Like, do you want to do one? Like, we should do one. We should, you know, like, what kind of help do you want? She was very weird about it. But then a couple months go by and they reached out to me. And we offered them our, like, friends and family rate. Because now I've been doing this for a while on my own, and they're not the first family members who have like reached out about a project.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always offered like a lower like friends and family discount.
Yeah.
Anyway, I offered them like 25% lower than my regular rate, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just pay your regular rate, like it's fine."
That's nice.
They're the first people to do that.
That's very nice.
I was like, "Wow." I feel like
Yeah.
we haven't really gotten into it yet because they like literally just like signed the contract like on Friday,
Yeah.
but I feel like optimistic that I don't know, there's like it'll be a new way of connecting with them.
I think it will be. I feel like this building of the house, like I've always, even before you guys, started, like even when it seemed like you weren't going to work on it because your mom was being weird about it, I always felt very strongly that this building of a house that's happening is like a very important thing for your family, and that it's like,
Yeah.
it's the house that's being built. I don't know, like it's probably going to stay in the family. Like you're building a family house, and I think your sister.
I don't know that you mean you think that after my parents pass away that we'll keep this house?
It's possible. I mean, they're gonna
I don't know. I don't see that happening. It's
really.
in like Illinois in like the middle of nowhere.
Well, the middle of nowhere is the place to be during the apocalypse.
Oh my god, you have a totally different thought process and you are freaking weird.
I know it's strange sometimes, but I think the building of the house together and the designing it of together, like even if it doesn't pass on for generations or whatever, I think it's gonna be like, I don't know, yeah, it's gonna change your relationship and bring you closer. Like maybe they'll see you more as equals, or I don't know. Not that they don't. I don't think they look down. Well, I don't know. Do you think I felt like my relationship with my parents has very much in the last few years gone to equals.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
being able to like offer. I don't know. Yeah, like I feel like my parents now like fully respect me. Not that
Yeah.
they disrespected or didn't respect me before, but I think it's just like, well, okay, well, we have more memory of you as an annoying 17-year-old than we do a successful 39-year-old.
Yeah. Yes.
So like it just takes a little while for their image of you to change. And I feel like like over the last couple of years, maybe it's getting married, maybe it's buying a house, but yeah, since those things, I feel very much like I've come to be, equal in their eyes.
Do you feel like they respect you?
Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
yeah. It feels very good.
That's good. Yeah.
I think I'm living my dad's dream, out here in the Wild West of business,
East?
Wild East.
Oh.
Like doing a New York City business. I think I think there's part of him that was like, I wish I had the courage to have. Because he's always been entrepreneurial, but never like he had a government job. He was never like.
Oh, but he
fully-
always had like a side hustle.
he
Where
always had
he
a side
like
hustle.
didn't. He said like, yeah, I kind of broke even.
Yeah.
Paid for my snacks.
Yeah, exactly. He had vending machines.
The vending machine business.
Yep.
So funny.
Yeah, and now he's like he always like would go and play, he's very good at poker. He'd go and play poker as like kind of a side hustle.
Yeah.
What else did he have? I feel like there's been a couple other things. But yeah, my family has that. And now I think he's very much like I think he's like really enjoying or living vicariously through me being a full-on entrepreneur, and like I'm sure I assume he's proud of me for being success, for like, hey, it's been successful 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
real thing.
It's a real
It's a
thing.
real accomplishment that you
Yeah.
should be proud of.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, Bubs is so happy right now. Oh, a lot of parent. We went from baseball to like parent-child relationship, huh?
Yeah, well, I think that I've been thinking about death kind of like more recently.
Okay.
And like, I think, yeah, the stuff with my parents, like, I am very aware that I do still feel this thing of like my parents' approval. Like, it's very alive in my experience
Mhm.
still. Like,
Mhm.
I see it of certain ways I'm doing things, or like, my dad's coming up on Tuesday and I'm like thinking about this other side of my brain turns on where I'm like, oh, we gotta get the house ready. Like,
Mhm.
we've got this like pile of wood on our porch with like a giant tarp over it. Like, I don't know what's going on under there. Like, we should probably check it and make sure there's no like moisture getting in, or like it's not like
Mhm.
getting air trapped.
Yeah.
It's just like this other like very practical side of my brain turns on of like, oh, will my parents approve of this?
Right.
Because I feel like I live much looser than like they live,
Oh,
and my
definitely.
sisters probably too.
Yeah. We're definitely
Um,
the wild ones, at least of your family.
but it's interesting to think about like, I've heard that people whose like parents have died, that something changes in your mind
I'm sure it
because you're
does.
like, oh, like they're not there anymore. Who am
Yeah.
I doing this for?
Right.
And it's interesting to like have the ability to see how your brain like thinks that way now,
Mhm.
and be like, do I want to continue living this way?
Yeah.
Like the fact that we're like closeted podcasters and like closeted psychedelic users
Closeted podcasters is the title.
is like, um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I
Like,
have.
do I want, like, I don't know. Like, it's probably more about what do I want, I
Yeah.
would guess, more than what they want. Because I don't know what they would want. They're different people.
It also doesn't matter what they want. Like they don't have, you know.
Well, of course, it doesn't matter. It's like not necessary to like pander to their wants, but like, the part of you that loves them and wants approval from them, like it is a real thing. You want them to think that you're doing good things in life.
Yeah. I'm sure your parents do. I'm sure maybe they'd be like, a little like surprised or like weirded out if they like found out how many drugs we do or whatever, but
How
like
regularly I take psychedelic
yeah,
or psilocybin mushrooms.
maybe they'd be a little worried, but like I kind of feel like when I, got to the age where I was like obviously like in serious relationships and having premarital sex, which was something that was very much impressed upon me not to do. Um,
Yeah.
like I my mom and I got to the point where it's just like she's just like I just don't talk to me like she's like I just don't want to think about it. Like I know what she's like I know don't you don't have to fake it, but I just don't like just don't bring it up. So like and I feel like with my dad it's like not about sex but about substances. I'm like, he's adventurous also and um yeah, so I feel like I'm striking the balance with my family about like yeah, my mom probably doesn't. I'm sure my mom has some idea that I do some sort of substances. She knows I drink. Um, if she's really thinking about it, she probably can guess marijuana. She probably doesn't have any idea about psychedelics. Uh, um, it's just like all right, well, whatever. Don't ask, don't tell. Um,
I think that's what she wants.
that's what she wants, and I think my dad is curious about it. So I think, your parents may be more on the just don't ask, don't tell situation, but they probably know, babe. They've got to know you smoke weed. I'm sure that they
They've
do.
got to know.
You've been smoking weed since you were like 15. Well, not quite, but
18.
from you were 18,
15.
they
Come on.
know you smoke weed, babe. And they, like now that you're married to me, they definitely know you smoke weed. Because I look like a stoner and I talk like a stoner. If it looks like a stoner, if it talks like a stoner, it's a stoner.
You always say that, but I don't think you really read as stoner as you think you do. Maybe you want to read as a stoner. Because you've been like, every time we've gone to like that Faherty store, or like, where they have those like ponchos,
Yeah.
those like Mexican ponchos that like, you know, either Mexicans or like I don't know,
Oh yeah.
like the dudes that
Yeah.
hang out at Venice Beach with like the white dudes with dreadlocks, like
Yeah.
they wear those. Like,
Oh, I'm removed one level from that, but like I'm also like, you know, not like besides the costume, I feel like the appearance and the personality is pretty stoner. Like all I would have to do is put on that sweater, and it would be like, oh, this guy lives on a beach and teaches surfing for a living.
yeah, yeah, it has been good. I feel like the last couple times I've hung out with my family, I have found the moments to do my thing that feels special to me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like something that feels very sacred to me is like hanging with people, hanging and cooking, serving them food, and like chatting,
Yeah.
having like conversations about whatever. And I feel like I have brought, and usually when you and I do it, there's like a little bit of weed involved
Mm-hmm.
most of the time. And I have like brought my own weed and like,
Mm-hmm.
before I'm like doing my dinner thing, I'll go like have a toke. And then I bring like a different energy to
Yeah.
myself. And I think, anyway, whether they know it or not, they're getting it.
Yeah,
They're getting
exactly.
the contact,
They're getting contact.
contact high conversations.
Look at me. Is something weird going on with your eye? Are you just it's stuck closed because you're so happy?
He's extremely happy.
He's a happy boy. I think the people need to hear his purr a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
He's the best boy.
He's the best boy.
All right. Well, I know you've got some stuff going on today.
I don't even know. Yeah, what time is it?
I don't know. If I move, I'll disrupt Coyote.
All right, well, the thing's at 50 minutes. This is probably like a 45-minute episode, so I think we could probably toast out.
Toast out.
Cheers out.
We don't know how drinking.
It's a metaphorical toasting out.
Okay. Sorry, my podcast brain works differently than yours.
It does. Our brains work very
Is there
differently.
anything else you wanted to say today in this episode to our people?
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and subscribing and
I want to just
sharing with your friends.
I want to note that our episode 14, I think,
Uh-huh.
Keep It Juicy, it had like 4 times as many views as any of our other episodes. I don't know why.
I think it's because we hashtagged online dating, because we talked about online dating in that episode.
I don't know. We can speculate, but
But
it's just whatever it was.
we're getting a little momentum.
It feels good.
I also feel like we're catching our flow. I feel like we're becoming better podcasters.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think we are.
I don't know who's the ultimate podcast judge.
I think YouTube is. I think.
YouTube is the judge?
Yeah, it's just how
I think
many
you
YouTube
and-
views do you
I
get?
think you and me are the judge.
Well, I mean, in that kind of way, yeah, of course.
Are we enjoying our experience?
But if everything is meant to be, consumed, and it's all about the numbers, the likes, then YouTube's the judge.
I don't think it's all about the numbers and the likes.
That's not why we're doing it. I mean, there's always a part of me that wants the acknowledgement, that wants the recognition.
I think it's about okay, if you're crafting I want to say a fine wine. I would say a delicious soup, but I think it is more of a winemaking process of the soil, the sun, the rain, the processing of the grapes, the bottling, the packaging, the whole experience from beginning to end. Do you think that we could make a delicious wine?
I think we are a fine wine.
We are a fine wine.
I think our podcast is getting better with age.
Yeah, I hope
and this
it
is
does.
our Sweet 16.
Our Sweet 16?
Yeah. This is our 16th episode. All right,
16-year-olds shouldn't be drinking wine. I'll say that.
They certainly do in some countries, and they have throughout most of history. But I agree. We're probably better off now that children don't drink alcohol.
Maybe it just depends on the wine. You shouldn't be drinking a box of Franzia. Plain slap the back. Okay.
Boxed wine is the coyote is like, why are people moving?
I know, she was so happy.
She's like, I was so happy. All right, everybody, let's get into cat cow. Just kidding. That wasn't me. That was Bubs.
Okay.
All right. What's the outro?
Our outro is to drink a lot of water and send some love to yourself.
That's right, folks. You heard it first. Drink a lot of water and send some love to yourself. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Too Much Intimacy.
Bye, guys.
Peace.